All right, so let's get back into this. I I got knocked off for some reason. I'm not sure what happened, but hopefully that don't happen this time around. You'll just have to go back. This will be a split up message, but it is what it is, right? Uh, I ain't going to blame that on the devil or not like that. I used to. Sometimes things just happen. So this is probably one of those things that just happened. So it is what it is. So we're talking about perspectives. I keep saying perspectives plural, and I guess it is perspectives plural, but my title is perspective. And I raised this title because we have different views. And I was alluding to how I was working with one of my little young workers, trying to help him, and he told me that he was finished basically, and I looked at it and the paint was dripping. Well, his perspective was that he was finished. His perspective was that it was completed. My perspective, my viewpoint, my knowledge, my understanding, my experience was that the job was wrong. The job was not completed. It was just a whole lot of stuff that was going on. But it's the issue that we're having today is perspective. It's perspective. Now, I want to read this to you because this, really is a challenge, and it's a clarion wake up call for a lot of us, and it's almost as if we're not on our high tower. And a high tower is a place where most of us that are in positions to make a difference. So we are placed high in order to look down to challenge what is below, to make what's below right. Okay, so verse Proverbs 21 verses 2 and 3, it says this: every man or every way of a man is right in his own eyes. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes. Perspective. It's the way I see it versus the way, or juxtaposed to the way a system sees it, a structure sees it, another individual sees it, a mother sees it, a father sees it, a big brother sees it, a big sister sees it, whatever it may be, a business sees it, a supervisor sees it. It's perspective now, right? And so a lot of the perspective comes with experience. That you gain a different perspective. It comes with knowledge, with training. You have all those different things that add to why does a person have a view this way opposed to another person having a view the other way. So every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. The Lord looks at the heart of a thing. This is the reason why I can't go with the way that most business people, in the line of work that I do, I can't go with the way that they go. You see this across the board. It don't have to be my line of work. It's all lines of work, because what is happening now, again, it's greed. And people are trying to get rich fast instead of understanding what, again, it's not how much money you make, it's how you care for the money that you have. Because regardless to how you look at it, if you don't do it right, according to Haggai, it'll be like holes money. It'll be like holes in your pocket. As soon as you put the money in your pocket, it goes out. Like, well, and I see this all the time. I said, I just paid you yesterday. I know. It's all gone. Where did it go to? I mean, I haven't been away from you for 24 hours. I just gave that to you last night. We back here again this morning. All of your money gone? All money gone. You spent all that money last night. Spent all that money last night. Holes in their pockets. Now, verse 3, to do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. I won't spend a whole lot of time on that, but I wanted to in my backdrop, I contemplated putting scales up because this particular passage really deals with the scales of life, and it's measuring out, it's weighting out the justices of life, and how we see things, how we see people, how we treat people. It's all that. So, is it okay for me just to start acting like everybody else? No, and I really can't do it now because God has shown me the right way. And God, and I look at my life has been blessed, right? So I already know you can't get that over on me. Maybe you would have been able to do that 20 years ago, but you can't do it now. Um, so I wanted to show you that piece right here, but here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. And in Revelation, the 6th chapter, and I've taught on this before, and if you want to hear this in detail, you can go back and maybe like a year ago, maybe a little longer than a year ago, I preached on the four horsemen, the red horse, the white horse, the green horse, the pale horse, and what their functions were. I won't get into all that right now, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of what's happening and the reason why I am stressing not to take advantage of people. And if everybody would take that same approach, now I'm not saying that some people won't try to take advantage of you, because a whole lot of little old ladies out there that try to take advantage of you because they be slick too, right? And I don't mean that. I'm looking for balance in this whole thing. But I'm more concerned about this because I see the trend, I see the pattern, the direction of the world. And if we don't put a bottleneck in there some kind of way, I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't nobody gonna be able to drive on new cars. You ain't gonna be getting a new house. You're gonna be able to do none of this stuff. Buy on new clothes, none of it. And it's crunching, it's squeezing in on us right now. It's just that y'all ain't paying a whole lot of attention now. Now watch this. Revelations chapter 6. I'm gonna start at verse number 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances, justice, scales, balances in his hands. Verse number 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny." Now, this scripture here is talking about wheat and barley. Let me just finish this. A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Now, why do I want to focus on verse number 6, and why am I saying that we all got to come together? This is the whole world, but it's so messed up right now. It's like me trying to empty out a lake with a teaspoon, right? Because everybody is into get fast, quick. I want to be a millionaire. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But here was the thing: barley and wheat they were the necessities of life. I ain't talking about things that you desired. I'm talking about things that you had to have. Barley and wheat is part of uh, uh, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That was at the base, the basic needs in Maslow's basic needs. And for them back then, it was barley and wheat. For us, we'd be say bread, or meat, sustenance. We got to put something inside our belly. So now, but watch this. Here's what it says. It says a barley. Let me go back to it. It says measure a measure of wheat for a penny, a measure of wheat for a penny, and then it says in 3 measures up for $1, of barley for a penny, dollar. Lord, where did it come from? 3 measures of barley for a penny, and a penny would be considered a denarius. Back then, a denarius would be considered 1 day's wage. And it wasn't about 8 hours. It was one day. They measured it by a day. That's from the time daylight comes out to the time daylight goes away. That was a day's wage or a day's work. So in other words, what they were saying is just for just pinch me off a little bit of wheat, a little bit of barley. That was a whole day's wage. What am I saying to you? I'm saying that when we go in, and as the world is going right now, next is $900 right now to set a hot water tank. I was telling y'all the other day about when I called the contractors up and I wanted to put in the furnace for me. That's just to that's to build that plenum. I told you it took me 4 hours to do that. To build that plenum and hook up, some lines and do, some minor checks for somebody that's in the business. They know how to do it. Well, they wanted 1,500 to 2,000 plus to do that. Took me a little less than 4 hours to do it. Now, imagine what it's going to be like in 5 years. I'm saying this because this ain't hitting you right now, but wait till y'all that's got kids that's 12, 13, 14, 15, and they're going to want to go to college, and the money ain't going to be there to go to college, nor will the government assist them, the grants and all that stuff. All these things are going away. This is the reason why I'm showing you this passage in Revelation 6, 5 and 6, is because things are being so inflated, 1,000% markup, to the place to where you won't be able to live. You're not going to be able to survive. And so when I got people out here, they talking about me, they say, well, man, you can't be charged. You going against the grain, man. You messing up. Me and this other guy was talking the other day, and we was talking about selling a house. And I told him, we just talking, and okay, I can get this house for this amount of money. I can sell it for that amount of money. Well, because of the housing bubble inflated houses so much. I got a story, but I can't tell you. But it inflated houses so much to where as you take a house that was $200,000. Now this is fair market value when things were much more normal. But you bring this bubble in here, and this is because of these old crooked politicians and all this stuff, and folks that's running big businesses, all this, so they drive the prices way up. So now the $200,000 house is $400,000. Now, when you look at that house, ain't no $400,000. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is $400,000. It's $400,000 now. Well, me, I can't do that because I already know that house is really only worth $200,000. So, okay, yeah, I can, but ethically, I'm like, we ain't gonna do no, and I ain't doing business with you. So now, whereas I would used to buy properties for, 5,000, 7,000. Now, the type of properties that I would get and I would fix up, I got to pay, 14, 15, 16, $20,000 for them now. So now it's a new game. If I want to be in the game, this is what I got to pay. So then the way that you do this, you survive, you pass that savings, that's what they call it. You pass that on to the next person, whoever going to rent or whoever going to buy. But you see what's happening. That's my only point. You see what's happening. And so after a while, we ain't going to be able to afford to live. I remember when they had all the materials like plywood, 4x8 sheet of half-inch plywood back here. This ain't even been over a year ago. It was $71 for one sheet. One sheet. I know for a fact. And it used to be, before we went through the COVID and we couldn't get stuff, all that stuff, it used to be $13 for that same sheet. Went from $13 to $71. Now, then it came down just skoshi, just a little bit. Not a whole lot, but then it came down a little bit. But look at the pattern. So you can't tell me that the Bible ain't true. You can't tell me we ain't moving towards the end. And if we don't start taking heed and reading and listening and praying and getting before God, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be messed up. This is really going to be messed up. When the Bible here talks about see in that same verse, verse number 6, see not you touch the wine and the oil. And that has several connotations and meanings to that. But one of the meanings to that is when it says, see not that you touch it, what they're saying there is that even though it's going to be a day's wage for the poor, which the poor already is at a disadvantage and they can't, it's going to take them, they're going to have to work all day to get a slice of bread, basically, right? But it says, see that you don't touch the wine and the oil. What that means is there's going to be another bracket of people. You have the rich and you have the poor. You have the haves and you have the have-nots. See that you touch not the oil and the wine. What that means is that those that have managed well, those that are in that have positioned themselves, those that have saved, those that have a little money. The oil was always of it bespeaks of those that have money. It's the richness of life. And then the wine is that's the joy and that's the laughter. That's when you sit down at the table. You can't drink no wine and you know that you got 5 babies at home and a whole day that you to work and all 5 of y'all got to eat off of one slice of bread. But those that are rich, those that are of the oil and the wine, they gonna be in a different status. They gonna have a different experience. I'm just trying to listen. This stuff is pretty simple to me, and so I've been positioning myself for all this for 30 years. 30 years. I can tell you some stories about what the Lord told me about things that were going to come and it's still upon me. And Lord talked to me about Social Security, and I was in my 20s, and He talked to me about Social Security, and He told me, he said, "I need you to do this." He says, "Because when you get your retirement age, the Social Security ain't gonna be there." Now, I ain't walked into that yet, but I can see it coming. I can see it running me down on the track. I can see it breathing down my neck because of the ways of this world. Now I know a lot of y'all say, "Oh, ain't no way Social Security ain't gonna be there." All right. It's so many things that the Lord has told me and I've seen. When I told the folks in Mansfield about General Motors, this is on record. This was 5 years before Mansfield General Motors shut down. I told them that's why they kicked half of the reason why I got put out the church because 65% of the people that was going to the church that I was attending, they was going to they worked at the General Motors in Mansfield, and I said the Lord said it's going to shut down. And I said that it was the most bizarre, unorthodox, out of the way, out of place thing that anybody could ever say. They thought I was sending hate mail. I wasn't. The Lord told me what to say. I said it, and here it was, not even 5 years. It was shortly after that, between 3 to 5. I don't recall exactly right now. That place in Mansfield, if you go to, you don't remember General Motors was there. And I told them it's on record, it's on tape before this happened because I heard the Lord. And it's so many things that God has told me about. And I said, Lord, you got to be tripping. I mean, man, listen, this the devil. Wasn't the devil. And then I keep living. And the Lord say, remember when I told you this? That's what I was talking about. So I have an ability to see far out. I can see things close to, but I have a keen ability to see things far out. And most of the times it get me in trouble because what I really notice way out there I can't talk about because it don't mean nothing to nobody right now. So I try to tell people about the long sight. I say, do this now because later on down the road, this is gonna mean a lot to you. And you can't get people to listen because it don't mean nothing right now. And it's not happening. It's not going to happen today or tomorrow. When I say, I mean literal tomorrow. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I just hope this message could bless somebody. I hope you got something out of this, and posture yourself to be a difference maker. Um, if y'all can, we need to form a coalition and really try to help these kids, and then help these young adults. I don't even say it. I ain't gonna even put them as an adult. These young people that's got kids, these young kids that got kids that's out there. I'm talking, like I said before, the grandmama, the mama, and the baby all in the same club. That's a problem. Everybody in the same club. So there can't be any guidance because everybody thinking the same way, doing the same thing. Perspective is the same. Perspective is the same. I'll say this and I'm gonna close. When I was getting my doctorates, I had to do my oral defense. And the oral defense is when you go before a committee and talk about perspectives here. You go before a committee, and they rip you apart on your work, right? And I'll never forget, the key guy for me was a man named Professor Dr. Doug Little. And when I walked into the room, when you walk in there, it's like you walk in the den of lions, and you got these people looking at you like, I'm going to tear your tail up. And so you have to turn your dissertation in, which is thick little book, and you turn that in before time, and then they give it back to you at the oral defense. Now we've been talking about perspectives today, right? And so because I've got several degrees and I've been down this a whole lot of times, so I feel like I can read and I can write and stuff. I had a lot of training, right? So I did all the stuff and then had it before the editors and all type of stuff. But when this particular man took a look at it, I'm going back because I'm trying to show you something with this little fella that was painting perspectives, right? Versus my eyes on it. So uh, Dr. Little has my book, and he comes back and he gives it to me. And when I opened it up, I said, "Listen, Jesus didn't shed that much red blood on the cross. It was marked up so bad." I said to myself, I said, "Self, did you do anything? Do you know anything?" And he just laughed at me. He says, "Don't feel bad." He says, "Everybody get this." But he is so skilled at what he does. When I had other professors looking at it, they didn't see all the stuff that Dr. Little saw. I'm saying that to say this: it's perspectives. And so what he told me, he says, "Now listen," he says, "you got to make all these corrections." It was basically almost had to redo the whole thing. Uh, and because you got to have that to perfection, right? And so you go back, and after the defense, it gives you back your dissertation. You go back, you make all the corrections, then you turn that back in, and then you're able to get your you can walk across the stage basically. But it's about perspectives, and that came because of experience, because of age, because of training, because of a lot of things. And so when I say you got the baby, the mother, the grandmother, they all together, and there's no difference in perspective, then how are we going to train the next generation if they don't see a red mark? It's got to be a red mark somewhere. But if we all at the same bar, we all drinking the same Kool-Aid. All right. I want y'all to be blessed. I love you. I am Dr. Donnie Eatman. The Lord loves you so much more. I want you to share, like, subscribe. I want you to follow. Do all the things that will help me with the algorithm. Um, And so, yeah, be blessed. Know that God loves you. He cares for you. I want you to go in His love, His speed, His guidance, His graces, His mercy, and all the things of God. His Spirit, the fruits of the Lord, the wisdom of the Lord, the knowledge of the Lord, all that stuff. Right? Go with Jesus. All right, y'all be blessed. I will see you on the other end, which is Sunday, if God says the same. Be